Yeoman's work indeed. Mark, thank you so much. We'll join you again shortly. Meantime, we want to bring in former NYPD inspector and Fox News contributor Paul Mauro, Gideon AI threat detection founder and Israeli special ops veteran AARON Cohen, along with Own the Dash CEO and Medal of Honor recipient, the great Dakota Meyer. Gentlemen, I want to begin this segment by playing a little bit more of the president. Let me begin with you, Paul, get your reaction. This is the President Trump earlier tonight expressing real frustration, not just about what happened, but how this happened. Listen.
We're not going to put up with these kind of assaults on law and order by people who shouldn't even be in our country. We must now re-examine every single alien who has entered our country from Afghanistan under Biden, and we must take all necessary measures to ensure the removal of any alien from any country who does not belong here or add benefit to our country.
Paul, I thought his comments were powerful. I thought he really nailed the mood of the nation after this frustrating and frankly disgusting attack that happened today.
Yeah, I think if you recall, they had called a lid. It didn't look like the president was going to speak. And then I think he felt compelled to, and he came out. And I would agree. I think he hit the right tone. People are angry. Here we are on the eve of the quintessential American holiday, and you have something like this that's not only going to destroy it for two families, but I think a lot of the country feels the mood of that. And I think the president also captured some of the questions that a lot of us have. You know, I did 15 years of counterterrorism. I've been embedded in these issues. And I would say there are two things that jump out at me here relative to this attack. Number one, there's vetting and then there's vetting. And let's face facts. It is very difficult to vet people from places that have no centralized records, aren't computerized. How do you know if somebody is even who they say they are? But then secondly, a lot of times, even if these are people who have earned the right to come to America from some of these nations, they don't adjust very well, let's just say. It's a very, very hard transition, and I've seen this kind of this paradigm before, where people come from nations like Afghanistan, very, very difficult, different cultures, and it's very difficult for them to adjust.
Excellent point. AARON, let me have you pick up the baton on what Paul was just saying and get your reaction to what happened today. What struck you first about this attack?
So obviously there's no question here, Kevin, that there's an immigration issue here, but I want to talk about the digital angle here. I'm positive that there's going to be a very long digital foot trail with this guy. I'm hearing chatter that he may have served in the Afghan army. He may have worked with U.S. Special Operations Forces for a decade before coming into the United States in 2021, I believe. And here's where I'm at with this. I don't necessarily think that this guy met some ISIS recruiter in an alley. I believe he was a U.S. ally. I think that he met an algorithm, and that's what I built my Gideon AI threat detection platform for. This is the new battlefield. This is what we saw with Buffalo. This is what we saw with the radical trans shooter in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And while the ideology might be different, the actors today aren't radicalizing in caves. And if this guy served in the Afghan army, he certainly wasn't anti-American. These new shooters today, Kevin, are shaped online in isolation, through grievance, through fixation, and a steady drip of content that pushes them right to the edge. And if he was in suicide ideation, spiraling for who knows how many months or years, the moment that tips, they open fire. And today it was 2 National Guard soldiers steps from the White House.
I love what you had to say, because this is not just a circumstance, AARON, where we're trying to unpack why this happened.
That's right.
Obviously, we're going to continue to look at what happened today. The investigation will continue. They'll continue to collect communications, and there are lots of cameras in that area. I'm very familiar, as are most of you folks. Dakota, let me get you in the conversation. I really believe that they're going to have to unpack how we got here with respect to this particular killer, and obviously as we try to avoid having this happen again.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think that we're all getting ahead of our skis here, and I think we're getting way too down and too many assumptions. I think what we need to really remember right now and take this moment to understand, and what we know factually is that we need to get all this political rhetoric out of our uniform. We need to understand that this is the oath that these men and women take. This is the risk that they are willing to put their life on the line when they're walking the streets, you know, wherever they're deployed, whether it's on American soil or whether it's across across the seas over somewhere else and, out there deployed. I mean, we don't know enough about where, how he got here, how long he's been here, things like that. Like, who knows where it's at, but this is just a simple fact of good versus evil. And this is what our men and women who take the oath are standing against every single day. And it should be a reminder of that it's not about Republicans. It's not about Democrats. It's about people protecting people.
Yeah, good versus evil indeed. Here's the FBI Director Kash Patel. Listen, get your reaction on the other side.
They are here serving our country. They are here protecting everyday Americans and citizens around the world in our nation's capital. We will run down every single lead, every piece of evidence. This is the power of the U.S. government at its best at the state, local, and federal level. That is why this interagency group is standing behind us to assure America and the world that we will continue to keep D.C. safe.
Paul, we understand that the Department of War may again add even more National Guard members to this area. And again, you heard the directors there say, we're going to continue to hunt for all the information that we can collect and obviously bring this person to justice.
Right. So I think that this investigation very clearly is going towards a terrorism charge. If somebody does what this individual did, comes around the corner, immediately starts shooting into what is reportedly more than just the two victims, you have to imagine there might have been some suicidal ideation there.
Yeah.
Didn't expect to get out of there. That argues very much that there's going to be some sort of an ideological purpose behind it, political, religious, whatever. That puts you in the terrorism realm. Normally, for a federal terrorism charge, you need a hook to an overseas entity, a designated terrorist group overseas, Hamas, Hezbollah, something like that. However, if it's on federal territory or if a federal member of the government is involved, implicated, you're already there. And that is a carve-out. All you need now to demonstrate is that motive, and you have the terrorism charge. I think that's where it's going, and that's what they're going to be looking at.
Let me share this, Aaron, before I bring you back in. This is the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, again talking about this idea that we're not going to stop doing what we're doing to protect the American people. Listen, get your reaction after this.
We will never back down. We will secure our capital. We will secure our cities. In fact, this happened just steps away from the White House. It will not stand. And that's why President Trump has asked me, and I will ask the Secretary of the Army to the National Guard, to add 500 additional troops, National Guardsmen, to Washington, D.C.
Assess the Secretary of War's decision there, Aaron. Right move, wrong move? What do you think?
100%. Listen, you can't go wrong with adding additional manpower. I'm all for it. But I want to get to the root again, Kevin, because I think that the only explanation here to put this crazy genie back in the bottle is to understand what's happening. You don't walk up to armed military personnel in downtown D.C. and open fire unless you are carrying a deep grievance or a radicalized mindset. And attackers don't just snap. The FBI, the Secret Service, and Israeli intelligence have been studying behavioral threat detection for 35 years, going back to the Reagan assassination, and there's always buildup. And like Pete said, like Morrow said, it doesn't matter what the ideology is. The behavior is always there, and there's always leakage, Kevin. We've seen the online manifesto, the 900-pager from the D.C. shooter. We saw the 12-minute tactical video of all the anti-Trump written on the magazines on that YouTube video by the Minneapolis shooter. There's always buildup, and there's always language shift, and there's behavioral language. And the only way to get in front of this is to get law enforcement the tools they need. I'm going to go back to my system. I have built America's early warning system. Agencies today are drowning in noise, Kevin. They cannot see the digital escalation happening upstream. And my platform scans the open web in real time for those behavioral indicators days, weeks, sometimes a year before. I've got 20 law enforcement agencies across 6 states piloting Gideon, intel teams, real-time crime centers, sheriff's departments, fusion centers, and for the first time in the history of public safety, they're receiving pre-attack signal. This is what I call left of 911. So to President Trump, to Secretary of War Hegseth, to FBI Director Patel, please have someone from your administration reach out to me, partner with me, and let's get DOD and FBI the tools they need to get in front of these lone wolves. And if you're a police chief, hit me up. I will personally onboard you on the platform.
As the old saying goes, 3 important words, whatever it takes. Obviously, if that's going to make us safer. Lastly, Dakota, I want to get your reaction. And this is for all of you. This is the great governor of West Virginia. I just want to share his thoughts about what has happened today. Not just his thoughts for the family, but also for the fallen, those who've been injured today. Listen, get your reaction.
The shooting was brazen. I mean, to be able to do this, to go after folks. So clearly this is a political targeting, and it's wrong on every single level. Now, we're going to learn more about this individual in the upcoming days. And I want to make sure whatever happens at the end of this, justice gets served. That's the American way, and we'll certainly be looking for that out of West Virginia.
Dakota, wrap us up here. Our thoughts, obviously, with the folks over in the great state of West Virginia.
Yeah, look, I go back to it. Like, this is what these men and women do. You know, they raise their right hand. Hopefully this is enough to justify the National Guard. Hopefully we're not arguing back, whether it's left or right, as to if the National Guard are needed there or they're doing the right thing being deployed. I mean, you took somebody was going to give their life today, and you know, thank God it was somebody like this who was willing to put the nation's cloth on and who were willing to protect those who live in this country, right? And it's unfortunate that they had to do it, or you know, hopefully they don't have to do it, but on our soul. And you know, what I also want to say is like, we need to thank this administration for making sure that you know, that these men and women are armed out there, that our National Guard's armed, and they made sure that that was going to happen. You know, the National Guard did return fire, and they were able to do that. And so, like, you know, who knows how many people that they could have saved if this could have kept going on. And thank God that they were there.
Yeah, heroic major on the ground there, and obviously we want justice, and I think that I speak for everyone when I say that. Gentlemen, thank you for your time tonight. We appreciate that.
America is facing a new kind of threat. Lone actors who radicalize online, leak their intent across social media platforms, and strike without warning. And law enforcement can't keep up. The digital noise is overwhelming, and the signals that matter are getting lost until it's too late. That's why I built Gideon. Gideon is the first AI threat detection platform for law enforcement to help stop lone wolf attacks. It's America's early warning system. It scans public online spaces in real time and identifies the exact behavioral patterns that show someone is escalating, and then alerts law enforcement before the attack. It's what we call left of 911, not after. And it's built on the same threat science used by the FBI, the Secret Service, and Israeli counterterrorism units, but powered by AI, so any agency in the country can use it. And we're already live with departments across the United States, in California, Alabama, Florida, and Texas. And the demand is growing. And now, for the first time, we're opening our seed round to outside investors who want to be part of something mission-driven, life-saving, and built to scale into $1 billion public safety platform. We've created an entire new lane here. And if you want to help protect this country and get in early on the company redefining how we stop violence before it happens, this is the moment. Gideon is the future of prevention, and we're building it right now. If you're a serious investor out there, hit the link down in the description and reach out to me and join my seed round. Appreciate you guys.